Hey there, Social Studies 20. Here is an assignment I'm going to officially assign, well, I guess right now. It's called the Ultranationalism Spectrum. What we're going to do is accomplish a few things by doing this. So first of all, I want you to understand and realize that there are a lot of bad things that come from ultranationalism, but some things are worse than others, but they're still ultranationalism. So, for example, ethnocentrism is a negative thing that is derived from ultranationalist thought. However, as bad as ethnocentrism might be, to me, it's not as bad as genocide. Because genocide is an action where you kill people. Ethnocentrism is just a mind frame and a way of looking at things. Discrimination is bad, but it's not as bad as maybe conflict and war might be. This is the way I see it in my head. It's important to be able to look at things on a spectrum in terms of their degrees of good and bad, positive, negative, and so on, hot and cold, etc. So when I think about it, this is what I see. Yours doesn't have to match mine, but you have to be able to explain why you put, you know, what heading in relation to the other headings. So ethnocentrism is bad. Expansionism to me is worse than ethnocentrism. Discrimination is worse than those two. Internment is bad than all three together. Conflict is really bad. And genocide is the worst of all. Like, to me, when I think of ultranationalism, it can get no worse than genocide. And I could give evidence and examples for that, which is the next phase of this assignment. What you're going to do now is you need to identify examples of each of the headings on your spectrum. Now, the rule of thumb in history and social studies is that you want to find three examples of something. If you can only come up with one example, well, that could just be a coincidence. You haven't really proved anything. Two examples is better than one, but if you can come up with three examples of something in history, social studies, you've uncovered a pattern. You have proven with irrefutable evidence that this concept is true, that this conclusion is true, that this pattern is historically accurate. So that's why I want you looking for three examples of each of the headings that we've got on our spectrum. I got you started. When I think of ethnocentrism, I'm thinking about, well, actually, the source we did just the other day. I'm thinking about state Shintoism in Japan and how that was used to create feelings of Japanese superiority. And that might lead to other things down the road, but you don't have to establish that right now. Other example I gave was for expansionism. Made me think of German Lebensraum, German living space, German expansionism. That would take them to Czechoslovakia, Poland, and so on. I could have just said German expansionism, but I can get more specific than that. Lebensraum is German expansionism. Maybe, well, I won't say it. I'll let you find what Italy was calling their expansionist policy. So if you can be specific, then be specific. You want to be as specific as possible because that makes your evidence more reliable. You get a better mark for specific evidence and you get a less mark for general evidence. We haven't done internment yet, so just leave this column blank for now. We're going to do that actually next week, and then you can fill in the rest of your spectrum. But you have enough examples for now for genocide, for conflict, war, for discrimination, all of them. But you're going to leave internment for now. Finally, where you're going to find this information, we've already covered it. With the exception of internment, you can use Chapter 7, you can use Chapter 9, your notes, my YouTube videos if you've been watching them. That gives you all the information you need to fill in this spectrum. This is a really important piece of scaffolding. We're going to use this. What we're doing is we're building a body of evidence, of historical evidence, to write a position paper in the next couple of weeks on nationalism and ultranationalism. And if you do the spectrum the right way, you will have done a lot of your brainstorming already. And then all you're really going to do is pick and choose, from the spectrum. And I'll talk more about that when I outline how to do a position paper later. For now, you're just filling in this evidence. Um, I would do it digitally. So this is an assignment. I'm going to ask for this to be submitted. You can email it to me in a digital format. You can take a picture and email that to me. If you want, do it by hand. I'm fine with that. That's perfectly fine. But just to me, when I do something like this, I'm doing it digitally because then it's easier to come back later, edit it, change it, amend it. And then you can't lose the digital copy like you might lose the hard copy that you do by hand. But I'll accept either digital or done by hand. That's perfectly fine. Watch D2L for the due date. Um, I haven't figured that out yet. I'll take a look at your workload and see where we are. We're almost done our unit on ultranationalism. We'll take a look at internment next week and chapter 10, and then it'll be time for some assessment pieces. So we look forward to that. If you're unsure of any of this, please email me. It's not as hard as you might think, and I can certainly help you out if you're confused. And you're going to get a lot out of this assignment, I guarantee it.